How many times have you found yourself in situations with your kids where you just wish you'd got out of your own way? I have. And on the show today, I'm going to be discussing what we can do to get out of our own way. Because when we get out of our own way, it can help our children get into their way. And if we're always there stepping in and interfering before we need to, then it's robbing our kids of the capacity to be able to, work out what to do for themselves. So very often in our parenting, when we take ourselves out of the picture, it helps our children raise themselves into the picture. So we have to get out of our own way. And I know certainly in my role as a mum, there's been times where something has had nothing to do with me, and I've made it everything to do with me. And it doesn't usually go well. Those are the times where my children, quite rightly so, will say, "Mum, I didn't ask you for your help." And yet I've given it. Because as mums, we want to give, we want to help, we want to meet their needs. But there's a fine line between doing that, enough of it, and doing too much of it. It's a real dance, knowing how much is enough and how much is too much. So watch yourself in your interactions with your kids. Really watch yourself. And notice how many times you might say something that you didn't need to say. And ask yourself, why did you feel the need to say it? For me, when I say something that I really didn't need to say, is because I'm triggered. I'm triggered by something in the moment. And I know from the work I've done that the trigger is never the other person. It's something in me that's being triggered by what I am making of the situation that I'm in. Usually my thoughts. They can absolutely trigger me. And they can put me in a situation where I have to feel I need to get involved. And there's times where, as parents, we really don't need to get involved. And there are times when our kids really need us to step back and get out of the way and let them forage their way forwards and let them make the mistakes and let them trip. Because as I mentioned in a previous episode when I was talking about pain, we don't want to see them in pain. But so often we get in the way and we prevent them from mastering the skills to help them get through things. And if we get in the way and we interfere, we don't allow the present moment to maybe unfold as it would have naturally. So watch yourself and develop an awareness for where you want to step in, you want to interfere, and you want to become part of it all. What can you do to stay on the outside, but be there for your kids? To stay on the outside and not take over. To stay on the outside but jump in when they need you to jump in, but not before. The thing that really helps me is to not take things personally. Their actions or what they say, or the tone of their voice. Because it only says everything about them. It's not saying anything about me. It's only saying something about me is if I create that thought in my mind, that it's an attack on me. I have choice. I have choice in every moment as to whether I take it personally or I don't. I have a choice as to whether I get involved or I don't. Take sibling rivalry. There's an absolute classic way in which we as parents can get involved and get between the siblings. And we need to take ourselves out of it. And sometimes just leave them to it. If there's nothing, no health risk, no harm risk, and it's safe to do so, let them solve their own battles. Let them learn how to resolve conflict and work out what's the best way to do it for them. If they hit their sibling, is that going to work for them or not? The sibling might hit them back. They will learn. But so often we step in, and in stepping in, we almost ask them to beat to our drum rather than beat to their own. So if we're always stepping in, they might forget who it is they really are. And they might forget that they actually have the skills to be able to navigate whatever that situation is. So we have to take ourselves out of the equation more than we do. I think that as parents, we're just, as I said at the start, we're just kind of coded to step in and help. But it doesn't always fuel the situation well or help your children develop the skills they might need in order to navigate that type of situation again. If they've always got you stepping in to help them, how are they going to know that they can do it on their own? And with sibling rivalry, when we step in, we often then make the next fatal error, not fatal, but you know what I mean, is we take a side. We think we've seen it, and we may have seen it, but we haven't seen everything that's been brought to this moment. There's things we don't see. So when we take sides, we can take the wrong side, which makes one child feel awful and makes one child feel good. And it might all be not the right thing to have done. So it can trigger all sorts of problems down the line when we take a side. So take both sides. See the situation through both of your child's eyes. Let them understand that you understand how you feel, and I understand how you feel. What are you going to do about it? Because we want them to be able to learn to navigate situations on their own and to know who they are and how they operate and how they move with the flow and how they navigate each moment after moment after moment without us stepping in all the time. We have to give them a chance to raise themselves without us being there and doing it for them. So short but sweet. Hopefully it's helped. And just notice yourself in the moment. What do you want to do if you hear your children argue? What do you want to do if you see your child making a mess of something? What do you want to do when you see them trip in a race? Watch yourself. Watch your thoughts. What's coming up for you in that moment? Because that's going to help you see your patterns. And if you want to change your patterns, you will know what you can do to change it and to step back and allow your child to blossom in front of you. Blossom with the pain, blossom with the mistake, blossom with the whatever it is. It might be the other side, it might be the awesomeness. Allow them to experience the awesomeness for them. Thanks so much for listening.